Hello and welcome everyone to the Point of No Return, the Babylon 5 Season 3 Retrospective. This week on the program, we are looking at Episode 2 from Season 3, Convictions. But before we get into that, I have to welcome my co-host, the man who is everyone and mine favorite second banana. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yes, good evening to you, Cam. Is there anything? I guess we should say, hey, do us a favor, everyone. If you're watching the show, slap a little, click that little thumbs up, and put a like on the show. It helps us out with the algorithm, and getting seen because we're still pretty minor around here with our 658 subs. We were holding steady at it. That's fine, no problem. But
we're small but mighty.
Small but mighty. But we'd appreciate it. It would help us out a bit. So please smack the like button. And it's going to be a good show because we have, Dean on the show. He's our special guest panelist. And, he's from that place across the ocean there, Europe somewhere. And, they class up everything when they show up. So, So speaking of that, let's bring in our special panelist, Dean. Hello, Dean, and of course, regular panelist.
Just a regular Jeff.
Welcome.
Hiya, Snob. Hiya, Cam. Hiya, Jeff.
Hey, what's up, Dean?
Welcome. Yes, you got to help me class up this place here, Dean, from these American thugs around here.
I will do my best.
All right, appreciate it.
Thugs.
Hugs, not thugs.
Who's in the chat? We've got Madman's in the chat today. Dave is in the chat. Good to see you, Dave. And greetings to the Narn delegation. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. We got some of the regulars. Umbras is here. Appreciate you. Madman, of course. Vicky's here. Good to see Vicky. I think Dean knows her.
Yeah. In passing, yes. Yeah, my lovely wife.
We've got. Can't believe you made it for the start of the stream for once. Right on. Yeah. Finally, YouTube has given off those notifications. We try to be on time here.
Maybe if we're not on time, they'll erase your channel, like has been happening to some other people out here.
Yeah. I heard the mid guys are getting hammered.
Good thing we're under the radar then.
Yeah, we're low. The mid 100,000 subs. The mids, the guys with 100,000 subs. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're safe for a while. Kerry Higyo Tagogo, who's in this episode, he passed away last week. I didn't know that. Oh, I kind of like that guy. I was like, hey, a new character. Oh, he seems pretty good. All right, let's bring in. I can't forget Jason. Let's bring in Jason as well. Jason,
hi.
How's it going? Just getting started. We're just saying hello to everyone in the chat. Appreciate you all coming today. I think we should just jump right into it, Cam. Like, why waste time?
Why not?
What do you think? You agree? I mean,
yeah, let's go.
Okay. Cam, take away with the short, and I'll do the long, and I'll keep the long short today.
Got it. Season 3, Episode 2, Convictions, Episode 46 overall, written by J. Mike Straczynski, which I think we can just say for the rest of the season. Original air date, November 13th, 1995, and 302 in production order. A series of random bombings rocks the station and threatens the crew and the ambassadors. A group of monks from Earth arrives on the station.
All right. I'll try to get through this real quick. I'm trying to cut these down a bit, right? Make them a little faster so we can get right into the discussion. So just the long, detailed, not too long, detailed of the episode. So episode starts off with some Drazi pilgrims. They're poking our new Zach Allen, our new guy, sort of new lead guy, talking about how anybody on the station is blessed and they want to touch blessed things. Meanwhile, Garibaldi gets pulled away during this encounter with a message, and Ivanova tells him that we've been getting these messages in the CNC, something about chaos is coming. And then, of course, just right after that, there is an explosion in Down Below. That is the opening sequence. Then we have the intro, of course, and there's sort of two main. I mean, they kind of cross a lot, but sort of two main things going on. There's the explosion, and then Londo Jakar sort of thing. It's not just Jakar. It's kind of Londo and some of Jakar. But anyway, I'll go over the explosion first. So at the same time, a bunch of right after the explosion, a bunch of human monks show up on Babylon 5. In the aftermath of the explosion, Garibaldi is trying to find out if it's a bomb or an accident. We have Brother Theo, one of the monks, explaining his purpose on Babylon 5, which is to learn, teach, and basically to bring God, to the heathen aliens, so to speak. It doesn't quite say it that way, but sort of that sort of thing. Garibaldi confirms that it is a bomb and not some sort of accident. He figures that the target is people as opposed to any sort of particular place on the station, or any particular race or political affiliation or the command staff. It's just there seems to be to hurt people. Dr. Franklin also mentions the people are scared about what's going on. Sheridan gets his command face on and decides to take serious action, limiting people getting together, searching people, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, Jakar goes off on Garibaldi about how it's the Centauri's fault, and also Londo is going off on Sheridan at about the same time that it's probably the Narn's fault. Meanwhile, Garibaldi finds a bomb just before it blows up. So he knows a little bit about the bomb, and they decide they're going to do a little bit more searching. They're going to do a video search to try to find the perp. Ivanovich says that sometimes these guys show up after the bombing and hang around to see their dirty work, and they go, "Good idea. Oh, there's too much video to search. We'll use." And Ivanova has the idea to use the monks. And the monks say, "Yeah, we can do it. No problem." Meanwhile, they use this. Once they do this, they find out it might be this certain person named Carlson. Garibaldi and the captain, they go to his quarters, and they're about to, go in there, bust the door down, do the little SWAT thing, and there is another explosion right outside. Carlson says, "Hey, Sheridan, come into my quarters. I've got another bomb. If I die, this bomb will go up and it'll blow up the whole station. Come on in." Sheridan decides to go in order to save time while Garibaldi can search for the bomb. Meanwhile, he has his little recorder thing on so they can hear what he's saying. He sticks in his pants. Anyway, he goes in. Carlson's very angry. He's suffered. He wants to create fear. He's lost his job. He's pretty kind of crazy. Through talking to him and things that he says, Garibaldi gets the idea that the bomb might be near the reactor. They go to the reactor. They find this bomb, which is quite big, and they go, "Hey, things are going bad. Quick, push it out. Push it out off the station." Meanwhile, while that's going on, things get out of control with Sheridan. I think somebody tries to call his comm link, and there's a noise. Carlson gets suspicious. He goes to drop the thing. Sheridan attacks him. They scuffle, but Sheridan kind of gets beat up, and then he's like, "Haha," and he drops it. But of course, the bomb is already off the ship, so the bomb does blow up, but no one is hurt. And Sheridan gets to punch him in the face afterwards. And that is the explosion sort of side of it. Meanwhile, on the Londo side, Lanier is he gets to start off the episode meeting a typical human, but at the same time he's waiting for Delin. She comes off a shuttle, and as she's coming off, Londo is right behind her. There's an explosion, and Lanier saves Londo by pushing him out of the thing, and Delin too. I think he pushes her first, and then Londo, but he gets stuck in there. So he's seriously injured, taken to med lab. He is in a coma. It seems very serious. Londo stays by his bedside, talking to him. At one point, he decides he's got to go on an errand. He goes into an elevator, and he's about to get in. And, of course, Jakar is the only one in that elevator. He says, "I'll take the next one." But then at the same time, there's an explosion happens in the corridor, and we see the fireball rushing towards him. He decides better to jump in with Jakar than get fried outside. So they jump in. He's unconscious for a while. Finally, when he wakes up, Jakar is there. Londo is keen to escape this thing. We work together. We can get out of here. Jakar refuses, and he says he'd rather watch Londo die, even if he died himself. He laughs about it. He seems a little bit off his rocker, a little bit crazy. At the same time, Lanier comes out of his coma with Dr. Franklin and Lynn and mentions something we can talk about, sort of mentions regret about the person he saved. Meanwhile, Londo and Jakar have a little bit of back and forth in the elevator, but finally, at the end of the episode, they are found just in time. Jakar claims no and is upset that they were found. Londo laughs, which is kind of a nice, to Jakar laughing before. And there's a bit of an exchange towards them. Between the two of them, they call each other names, and that is the end of the episode. So, I hope, that's about it. Cam, do you want to go from there?
Sure. It's actually, you described it pretty well. It's pretty tight in terms of plot. Obviously, the bomber is the main thing, the main storyline. And as you mentioned, you have the Lanier and Londo kind of tangent from that. And then the Londo and Jakar portion later. And then you have, Brother Theo's group showing up, which then of course ties in. So it's really like, in my view, kind of an A plot with a variety of subplots directly related to it. And then of course you have the thing with the Drazi, showing up because of Kosh's appearance. But that's anyone else see anything other than those?
You mean Droshala?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Did you catch the little joke at the beginning from Garibaldi?
Oh, you talking about when he tells his buddy to show them the missionary position?
Yeah.
Yes.
The missionary position. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's got to be a bit of a thing they threw in.
Yeah, that was a little bit funny there.
All right. Well, why don't we let Dean, our special guest, talk about what you want in this episode? You take the lead and say, "Hey, this is your. What do you think? What part thrilled you?"
We got the main plot, obviously, but everything seems to entwine with it in this episode. The monks arriving become part of it. I don't think there's really anything that doesn't. Where do we start? There's a lot here. I'll start with down below. Shall we start
Sure.
with how it all begins? This really weird trap in down below, like you're trying to catch an animal.
Yeah.
They did.
I'm guessing that was just a focal point for the trigger, and to make it look dramatic, but it did look a bit. And throughout this episode, there are a couple of special effects that I think just stand out as being a little bit kind of, but it's a difficult one to, you're dealing with CGI explosions, and back in the 90s, they never looked great on TV.
Yeah.
Where it all begins, down below, the first bomb goes off, the little bit of carnage. They don't know whether it is the bomber or not at this stage, and Garibaldi starts to do what he does best, which is investigate and have a good look.
Mm-hmm. Jason, anything that stood out to you?
Not really as far as any kind of a standout. I like that Bill Mumy is being given some stuff to do. Lanier, as we've talked about before, Lanier and Veer both seem to be coming into their own in terms of character arcs. So that was interesting to see. That he got a little action at the beginning of it. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out with him saving Londo's life. But as far as anything in particular standing out, not really. I think like Dean was saying, some of the explosions are a little, but one thing that I did notice, and I don't know if this was an effect or not, but there's a scene where Ivanova and I believe Franklin or Garibaldi, they're walking on one level, and you've got stuff happening on the other level below them right after one of the explosions. And for whatever reason, why, I don't know, I looked at that and I thought, is that a matte shot? Are they actually both in that physical space? Because it looked like the upper floor was matted in on top of the bottom floor, but I could have just been looking at that weird. But nothing really stood out to me story wise. No.
Well, I'll just comment on you mentioned Lanier, and I did like it. He didn't. His time was relatively brief, but I did like that it showed. His instinct is to save people. It's a heroic instinct, and that's the kind of guy Lanier is. I think very selfless. Not only grabbing Delenn, where you would expect him to do everything to protect her, but also just grabbing Londo, who just happened to be there. And I go ahead.
And I think it's interesting the way that counters with Veer, because I think Veer is, we haven't seen much of him, so far at all or anything, but I kind of see him as heroic as well, but not an action heroic guy, like not the kind of here's a problem, I'm gonna, save a person. He's kind of, but he's still a hero too, but a different kind.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
What did you guys think? I'll just since we're talking about Lanier, Lanier did a little fib in there, right? Which they've made a point of
Mari don't lie.
Not lying, and then we've kind of seen them certainly skirting that.
Well, he's going to do penance for it, so it's perfectly fine.
Well, I think he did.
He did.
Well, there's a difference between not lying and doing and thinking that lying is not acceptable, though.
Yeah.
Right. Those are kind of a world of difference.
Well, maybe Delenn is, the Delenn and being around all these humans all the time has rubbed off on him a little bit.
Maybe.
Well,
she's part human now.
Yeah,
she is. Yeah.
But Lanier's not.
Or something.
One thing I loved about the scene with Lanier saving Delenn and and Londo, he throws Delenn out, he throws Londo out, but then he turns to see if there's anybody else still trapped in there.
Yeah.
Giving up his opportunity to get out before the door's shut. And I found that was actually quite, and then by the time he's turning, knowing that there's no one else that needs to be saved, it's too late.
Yeah, that's a good point. Excellent point.
Yeah.
Near and talk with him. Mm-hmm. And at one point, it's not a story thing. It's a camera move. It's a production thing where Londo sits down and he sits there and says, "Okay, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to wait for you to talk, and I'm just gonna sit here and I'm going to wait." And the camera is looking at Londo through that observation window, med lab. And it starts to pull back, and he's still talking, but it's just really nicely composed shot. I look at that one thing. That's some really good cinematography there from Mr. I thought that was good.
Well,
a little fancier.
Yeah, I agree, and it wasn't just that. There was another scene. I think it was with Sheridan and Ivanova, and it was just like, this is a little bit more elaborate camera work going on, and I think we mentioned this in last week's episode too, maybe.
I did, because they had these very close-ups on when Londo was talking to Morden, he's really close up on his face, and I mean, nobody to me, I like that really stood out. Like, they've never shot this close to people's face when they're talking before, so I figure they must have a new DP or something like that, right? Because it's
the same DP. It's John Flynn. It's the same.
Trying something different then, or something.
He's got time or money, one of the two.
Something.
Well, and I've made the comment. Success comes from three things. Time, money, manpower, and time. And money gets you the other two. And it's possible that now that they've gone however many seasons, the expense of set design and all that other stuff pretty much amortized at this point. It's possible maybe that some money has been freed up that they can take some time to do things. And like Dave says, maybe it's some of the directors that are sitting there going, well, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we try this? Why don't we put the camera over here and y'all do this and everything? Some of that comes in rehearsals, depending on how much time they've got to run through that while they're on set. I know a lot of times when I'm directing anything, I'll have the actors go through and say, okay, do what feels like you would do here when this, and let's see the scene play out and figure out where we're going to put the camera. And sometimes you can get some really good material from that because the actors just kind of do what flows naturally. And you sit there and say, okay, where can I put the camera to get the best angle on what I just saw? So some of that could be happening as well.
I like it. I think it adds.
Yeah, I've got quite a few notes here and there about the change in camera work because it really does stand out. And I think the one area was during the debriefing where they're all in the sort of command room, and the camera work there, especially when I think Franklin's talking, you got his aide right up against the camera. You got Franklin talking just in the background. It gives you a real a claustrophobic feeling in that room, like you're crammed in with them.
Well, and there's another shot too that's reminiscent of something that you'd see from Citizen Kane. So it's after the bomb goes off, the camera comes down, follows Sheridan, and then it goes into the space where Garibaldi is sitting. And there's a piece of machinery or something, and the camera comes in underneath it. And if you're not paying attention, you don't see it. And I'm looking at this, and I see this thing kind of get lifted over the camera, and it pushes into Sheridan landing on the set next to Garibaldi. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, that was an interesting camera move because it kind of reminds me of the move in Citizen Kane where they kind of go through the skylight into the diner for that interview with the wife, with the blonde, his ex-wife. And because you go through the neon sign, the camera goes through the neon sign and through the skylight. And in here, it goes in and it comes down past that piece of machinery into the cargo bay. And I thought that was a pretty nice camera move. But yeah, it's a bunch of that stuff is happening this season. I think it looks good.
Jason's mic sounds no problem here.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Cam.
I was gonna say, Jeff, anything that you wanted to highlight?
Well, I do agree that there was an improvement definitely in some of the camera work. But am I all right?
No, your audio is echoing.
Huge echo there.
Huge echo.
All right, give me a second. How about now?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm echoing.
All right, go ahead. You're good.
All right. Let's see. So what I was going to say, or trying to say, is the camera work definitely was improved. There was, I don't know, these guys are searching for something to sell down below. Okay, I guess maybe.
It was weird. It was like it seemed like it was a strange scene, wasn't it? It's like, it's like we got to find something. It's like it was a real desperate kind of thing, and it's like, well, where'd that come from? What I mean, if I was creeping around down there, what's so anyway. But I guess it caused them to go into a trap. So,
yeah, I mean, and it just was kind of that was a whole bit of weird stuff. But like I said, the camera work was good. Yeah. I'm not sure what else to say about.
Not loving the episode.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I have not a full page of notes. Let's put it that way.
I agree. I'm at about 3/4 of a page myself.
Yeah.
Snob,
How
what,
about
what about
how
you?
about can we look at this? We were talking about Lanier,
Yeah.
and maybe we should talk about this here that Madman's bringing up here. The whole I have last part where Lanier says, "I fear I have served the present by sacrificing the future," and he's referring to saving Londo. Anybody want to comment
Well,
on that?
I mean, you know, obviously, we've seen that from Lanier before that he believes all life is sacred. So that's not like it's something out of his character.
No, but the
Especially
second part though.
do what
The second part. Don't you think that's a little bit?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Right there,
It's a little bit of irony. I think there's a whole lot of irony throughout the episode, and I'm sure we'll touch on it in a little bit with Londo and Jakar later on. You know, what was that? 3 explosions later, or something like that. But you know, yeah, maybe he could have possibly prevented, but honestly, if something was to happen to Londo, would that have stopped it? Because we already have learned in the previous episode that the Shadows already talked to Rifa anyways, you know. Morden's already talked to Rifa. So,
Well, it's kind of interesting that Lanier is seeming to imply that this hinges on Londo, and I'm not sure anyone has any reason to believe that Londo was behind any of these major things.
right.
I mean, he's the ambassador, so he's the face of it, certainly. But that he's the puppet master. That I'm not sure that made a lot of sense, and I don't think it was particularly characteristic for Lanier to say something like that either.
Yeah,
Right.
That's kind of my point.
Yeah, he'd only just come out of a coma
That's
at
true.
that point, and he's near death. He probably spoke out of turn because he's on a lot of killing drugs, stuff like that. But you are right; it is very out of character for him to say something like not the first part, but the second part. But yeah, I put it down to the fact he had a near death experience.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about? See, I'm a Londo fan, as I've mentioned, and I like that we see this kind of thing. This is in the midst of Londo's darkness, right?
Yeah.
And he, when they had the scene. Oh, that was another scene. Is when they after the explosion, Franklin was coming out. They had some camera work there as they were taking Lanier away, and Londo and Delenn were kind of coming in and out of the scene. More complex of everything, of setups and everything. But the point I was trying to make is that Londo, it has a little bit of history with Lanier. They palled around for an episode or two in the past,
Sure.
and just the same way that he did with Garibaldi.
Right.
And Londo's not faking this, right? It's like he's moved by that, that Lanier saved him, and he's trying to do right by him, when he's visiting him there and such. He didn't need to do that.
Well, I think Londo's trying to figure out how to wrap his head around it, because he has been into the end of second season now at the beginning here. He's the villain of the piece, and he knows he's the villain of the piece, and it's one of those things where we've seen him pretty much accept the fact that he's burned all of the bridges that he's had with everybody that he knows there, and for Lanier to save his life like that, when he could have very easily just left him there to burn.
Mhm.
I think he's having a tough time processing that and coming to terms with it, and it comes into conflict with where he thinks he's supposed to be, because he's the leader of the Centauri Republic and stuff, and I think he's not quite sure what to make of it.
Well,
because he feels gratitude, but he also feels guilt. I think
that's an interesting point. So let's take on what you said there, that maybe he's like, yeah, well, is there a fleeting thought, well, maybe I didn't deserve to be saved, but contrast that with later when he's gloating about being saved with the situation with Jakar. He's like, I live, or whatever he said.
I mean, I think
Yeah, that's personal. That's personal. That's him and Jakar.
Yeah.
Jakar wants him dead. He's like, I'm not going to kill you because of the terms of the ceasefire would, that cause more problems than it's worth. But I don't have to. It's like in Batman. I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Well,
Type of thing. Where
yeah, I mean,
and
I think
Jakar wants him dead, but Londo sits there and goes, "Aha, I'm not dead." But it's a different set of circumstances, and it's a completely different context. Because, yeah, he doesn't deserve to be saved when Lanier does it, but he also doesn't deserve to die, in anonymity with his
Nemesis.
sworn
Yeah.
enemy in the elevator, not doing anything to save him. And when they get rescued at the end, it's like, aha, it's less I deserve to live and more I didn't die for you. You don't get to watch me die. So I think he's enjoying the fact that Jakar doesn't get what he wants rather than I've been saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're also talking about people whose job it is to save you, find you and save you, versus Lanier, who could have left him there. It wasn't his job to save Lando. And I think, well, when Vicky and I were watching this again last night to bring it fresh into my mind, she really picked up on that self-loathing. At one point, Londo seems to hate himself. And it's that guilt that despite everything he's done, despite, watching the Narn world get bombed back to the Stone Age, someone took the time and saved him at their expense. And I think, in the Centauri court, you probably don't have many friends who will do that. So it's probably a weird feeling for Londo.
Well, they're used to getting backstabbed.
Indeed.
I do think that the scenes with Londo sitting by Lanier's bedside it gives you that that sense of there's still good in him. There's, what I mean? You know how Luke said that to Vader. I can sense that there's still good in you. I think that was a visual expression of there's still some goodness in Londo. Genuinely concerned about the well-being, and he's never really been in that position where somebody did save his life, and he felt obligated to he didn't know what to do. He was kind of thrown off by that whole situation. So, be that as it may, I think, what was it? He said it was 1,600 hours. He asked what time it was, and that's when he took off. And next thing you know, that's when, of course, the incident that trapped him in the elevator, or I'm sorry, what do they call it? The transport tube, is how they refer to it.
I think that Londo is someone that does respect friendship and things like that. We saw with his friend Urza, and his connection with
Garibaldi.
That he the whole one where he was waiting for him, for hours and hours and things like that. And then again, like, this with the Lanier, he's at the early episodes when he was like, basically, bumming money off of people and all this stuff, you could think, oh, this is just a guy that's using people and stuff. But I don't think that's Londo. In reality, he is a person that wants to have friends, I think,
And I think that's rare for a Centauri, or like he's like, no, sorry, not wanting the part, but the actual fact that he is a real friend,
right?
That's somewhat rare, and I think he probably, that's probably has an effect on him in Centauri society, because he has trouble. He wants to be this certain way. He wants to have this kind of relationship with people, but he can't find other Centauri to have it with because they're not like that. It's a lot of backstabbing and stuff, at least at his level where he is.
Well, we talked a little bit about it, but so what's everyone's impression of the scene with Jakar and Londo? And obviously, he was just like, yeah, I'll take the next one or whatever, and then got forced into there, and Londo got knocked out for 2 hours, and Jakar was just sitting there, and Jakar's had when Londo's kind of catching up to what's going on, and Jakar's just kind of nodding like, yeah, this or that, being very passive for Jakar.
Very.
And I don't know if he was just winding him up for the big, screw you or what. But what did you guys think of that?
I don't know if he was expecting if Jakar was expecting Londo to, come out of the coma or not. I think he was not a desperate man, apathetic. He was apathetic towards Londo's predicament at that point, and maybe towards the situation in general. He didn't even care about his own life. He just wanted at that point to relish. He's like, yeah, I'll just sit there and I'll enjoy the opportunity of watching my nemesis. Even if I'm going to go along with him, so be it.
Well,
Yeah,
you know what? Though? He didn't.
I got a Joker vibe from him in that
with the
elevator.
laughter.
Yeah,
oh yeah, no,
just the idea that he's sitting there going, he's giggling. He's almost got this. It's not enjoyment. He's enjoying the predicament. He's enjoying the irony of it.
Well,
but I gotta not quite Cesar Romero Joker vibe.
Yeah, I mean
he's relishing this. He's like, ah, you're gonna come in here, you're gonna die, and I'm not gonna help you.
Yeah. I mean, he said in a very Jakar-like manner that he finds the situation most appealing. But then later on, after the conversation, he says, in the words of what the humans like to say, "Up yours, die."
Yeah.
So
I got a real sense from Jakar that since he was removed from the Kari, since he was a broken Narn, he has sought and probably dreamt of the day that Londo would die. And now he's trapped in an elevator, and it looks like his dreams are going to come true. Yeah, he's going to die at the same time. There's that touch of madness. But he gets to see something happen that he has wanted since that time. And that is the death of Londo. And in a way that he's not responsible. I mean, in theory, potentially an investigation would find out he could have killed Londo in that elevator.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the bomb.
Why didn't he?
Why not just kill him?
Yeah, and I think it's because Jakar wanted to see that fear in Londo's eyes. He wanted to watch Londo die, and you can sense that touch of absolute madness in Jakar for everything he's been through. These two mortal enemies, and Jakar wouldn't lift a finger to help Londo, as we see there, and his dream was coming true. Londo was going to die in front of him.
I would agree with what Dean and Jason has said a bit, but I kind of saw it a little bit. I see a touch of resignation. Jakar's a little bit resigned to his fate and what's been going on. It's like the whole universe has thrown all this on top of the Narn and him, and now he kind of feels a little bit powerless. So that but he's resigned to it. He'll just be happy to. I'll be happy to watch Londo die. I'm not gonna, do anything to make it happen. I just want to watch it because he could have waited. He could have killed him while he was asleep, while he was unconscious. If he wanted to wait, he could have waited till he became conscious and then strangle him while he's watched the fear in his eyes. But he didn't do any of that. He simply he's like, I'm going to just sit back and let everything happen how it happens. I think karma is coming. It will get Londo, and I just hope I'm there to watch when it happens so I can laugh. And, not like even look in his face and go, ha ha, poke at him and say, ha ha, you're dying. Just to sort of laugh at the whole, a kind of
irony.
Laugh. The irony, the relief that, karma has finally come and maybe there is some justice in the universe, that kind of thing. But I thought it was the whole thing was somewhat very unusual for Jakar, and we're seeing a different side of his personality. And I'm wondering if we're gonna see more of this type of thing, or they're gonna expand on that in later interactions or with whatever happens with Jakar.
Descent into madness, maybe kind of at this point.
I mean, a little bit. It was some, I thought, but then he kind of came out of it at the end. He doesn't. But that is a little bit of a descent into madness for sure. He was just like, nope, I'm just gonna sit there and watch you die. I'm not gonna do nothing.
Not even save myself. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna sit here in the corner, like a little, and notice he's kind of squished in the corner too. Like he's got the side of the whatever it is, like protecting him a little bit from the side. Like he's even more, squished in, which most of the time you see Jakar, he's up, he's standing up straight, and he's shoulders back,
Pumped
and he's
up.
always
Yeah, he's
confronting people head on. But this
puffing
is
his
kind of
chest
like
out.
he's and even Londo stands up, and hey, we should do this, we should that. Jakar doesn't, he doesn't stand up to put himself on an even keel with Londo or anything like that. He simply stays where he is and says, "Nope, I'm going to stay here." No,
He was
I'm not
having
gonna
a
do nothing.
sit-in. He was having a sit-in.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
contrast that with earlier in the episode when he's chasing Garibaldi
Yeah.
around the station,
Good point.
basically saying, this is all the Centauri's fault, and you got to do. And he'd go one way and Garibaldi go the other way, and Jakar's got to run to catch up. It was almost comical at one point, and I thought, why are they making him do that? He's very energetic, which is something you don't see very much with Jakar being that worked up in a comedic way. He's done it before. He's gotten loud, he's gotten demonstrative and all of that several times, but it's never been used for humor like it was this time. And I thought that was an interesting thing there.
Yeah,
especially given that when he gets to the elevator, it's very contained, and he like Snob says, he doesn't get up off the floor. He just sits there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting choice.
And even Jason, even in the scene, it's a little comedic and all that, but he's still like, he's up and he's got his shoulders back. He's still sort of commanding the room to a certain extent, right? Like he's still Jakar commanding the area when he's in, even if he has to run after Garibaldi, and he's a little bit diminished by that in a sense, but he's still there. He's Jakar.
Right.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about the actual A storyline, because which oddly enough is not really that important. The bomber guy and what he's all about.
What is he all about?
Does anyone, I don't know. Does anyone care?
I mean, because it's like so some random dude is transferred over there. He's got, I guess, multiple things on his disciplinary record. They didn't say he was fired. He said he was fired later on, or something weird like that.
He said back on Earth, his wife left him. He lost his job. He was fired from his job. So he's been he went Proxima 3, did a job there, and then Babylon 5 did a job there. So he was employed on Babylon 5. He was one of their techies. So they don't do great background checks on Babylon 5.
Apparently not. I mean, hell, let's go.
Yeah, and we're also, there was something that struck me with this episode. I meant to mention it earlier, but we've had several discussions about the lack of cameras on Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and now we discover there's cameras everywhere.
and clearly the bombers tapped into them all.
Yeah, that room with all the monitors.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and so a little inconsistency there, or maybe they just got security upgrades when they got their weapons upgrades or something.
Maybe.
Maybe they just remember that, hey, wait a second, we should have cameras everywhere.
Right, but
the writers.
Well, now to that point, there is a possibility in universe. I mean, you'd have to, the writers would probably have to think about this in order to put it into an episode. But it's possible that given the security situation, given the threat, now with everything that's been going on and the shadow ship and whatnot, it's entirely possible that Sheridan said, okay, as part of prepping for this Army of Light, Army of Darkness thing we're going to have to deal with here, let's just put cameras everywhere so we can make sure that we're on the bounce and can keep track of everything. Now that hasn't been established in the show, but it's you could do something like that, and it's just a line. Good thing we install all these cameras.
It could have been.
There'd be pushback from the all the alien races and stuff. Wait a second, how come you humans are watching us all the time now? And
Yeah.
It could also be, we know what's happening with Earth. We know you got the Night Watch and all of that kicking off. And what happens in any authoritarian state where they want to keep track of their people, they install a lot of cameras. And maybe it was a missed opportunity in one of the episodes to show the Night Watch coming in and saying your security is being upgraded. We need to keep an eye on the dissidents that might be on Babylon 5.
It would have been much better had they explained, had they, like you said, a couple of throwaway lines would have, would have made that more congruent and kind of explained it. And he didn't.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. That would have been, even if it was only mentioned in this episode, and they could have referenced Night Watch, like you mentioned, and because then people, okay, that would raise eyebrows again for the audience, right? It's like, so they got eyes all over the place now. Now, and then,
can I comment on this before we move on? So I actually think this is a little bit. This isn't about the show, but this is a little bit of an artifact about science fiction when it's being written, and how we think about it. If you go to, this is just a thing where, I mean, for us now, we all know that any space station, I mean, the ISS, everything. Anything that we put into space is going to have a camera everywhere. Like there's not going to be 1 inch of any spacecraft in the future that we ever build that's not going to have cameras covering every square inch of that on the inside and outside. And this is just, I think, sort of part of the 90s, similar to when, if you read like Asimov's Foundation written in the 40s, I mean, people are like, the people go to, it's thousands of years in the future or whatever. And people are like, I got to go to this computer to send a message to someone that I'm, they don't even, the writer doesn't think that everyone would have a phone in their own hand. If you go to Star Trek and there's no holographic displays or any of that stuff, right? Like that kind of thing. So I think it's really an artifact of the fact that it's the 90s and the writers aren't thinking, every square inch of this is going to be, covered. And if Babylon 5 was redone, now for sure there would be, these storylines would not happen. There'd be every inch of everything would be covered. So I think that's probably the reason for it. I mean, we can try to find reasons, but
you're absolutely right.
It's
just, this is a pre-cell phone, I mean, they had mobile phones at that time, but not like they do today, wherever there's a camera, literally you go anywhere and there's hundreds of cameras in people's pockets,
I mean, AOL was just becoming huge at this point. Because they were obviously big enough to buy the Warner Brothers stuff.
Well, it's the start of the internet. Like it was about 94 where I finally had, access to what dial up and you can get onto the internet, this internet thing. I mean, BBS and stuff before that, but not.
I had broadband in 95. So.
Oh, well, you're a pioneer.
No, not really. Because when I was living out in Vegas, every Kino runner, bartender, server, cocktail waitress, everybody I worked with all had broadband in 94. So I don't know, man. The internet was pretty prevalent, but yes, not everybody had a cell phone. And if they did have a cell phone, it might have been it was probably a flip phone or something very basic. It didn't even have.
Well, it'd have to be smartphones weren't.
There weren't no real smartphones.
So.
Well, this leads into another bit of a strange anachronism. Would be anachronism for the future, I guess, is that they're talking about surveillance. Oh, okay, we've got all this video surveillance, but how are we ever find the guy? How will we analyze this? And Garibaldi's like, well, we'd have to, have the computers do this and that, and even so,
there's hundreds of hours of footage.
Right.
So just use the AI to.
Well, right. Today, that's a snap of a finger, right? I mean, it's like, there's somebody and there's where they were, their entire last 5 years, or whatever. But in this case,
rectacles around them tracking the person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in this case, they didn't have that apparently, so it led into the Brother Theo thing. And maybe we should go take a step back for a second, because talk about Brother Theo's group. And I'll just introduce it briefly. Basically, Brother Theo has his group of monks, and he's trying to get permission to live on Babylon 5 permanently. And Ivanova is kind of not having any of it. She doesn't think it's a good idea. You know, she basically explains it. It's, yeah, people kind of come through there. They're here for a little while and they go, or they work here. So why would you want to be in residence here? You know, so there's,
I think she has a tough time believing anybody would want to be
Yeah.
there.
Which
And I
is
think
kind of
she's
weird
gotta-
because Sheridan is so gung ho about being there.
I think
You know?
she's somewhat negative towards religion too. She's kind of a little skeptic about any religion.
Well, and it's
Yeah, a little
established
bit.
that she's Jewish, but I mean, you know, and you said when in your little rundown, Snob, that you thought that that he was kind of pushing the something or other, and it was like, I don't think they were out to try and convert other people. I think they're trying to learn about all the other religions. You know, they're
yeah,
talking about.
he said that. He said he was.
Yeah, they want to get to know that. They're not gonna force themselves on anybody. We're not talking about Hare Krishnas in space here.
No, but I mean,
No.
but it's all religions want to spread they believe that they have the right.
No, they came
They
in
wanna
with
spread
a
themselves.
different mission, which is they believe that the variations of other religions are God manifest in those areas, those areas of space. So they wanted to understand the many faces of God and the many
Right.
names that God takes
you mean
throughout
Kosh?
the galaxy. yeah, absolutely.
I kind of made that connection when they said that. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, sort of like how Kosh appears different to all the different. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I agree that the idea of evangelizing is not prevalent in there, but to me, when I saw this portion, in the back of my mind, I mean, I agree totally with what Dean said, but there's always religion does want to spread, so there's always that somewhere. Now, are they going to be jerks about it? Are they going to push themselves on anyone? No, I agree. I think they seem very straightforward. They're not that kind of that they're not that kind of a religion. But I did kind of wonder why some group like that hasn't been on Babylon 5 before. It's been a couple years. I mean, the first thing that we would want to do would be, there would be somebody on Earth who'd say, "Hey, we got to bring those heathen aliens to God."
Well, because
I mean, someone who's going to say that.
Well, maybe, but that again, as Dean pointed out, that's not their mission. And the reason they're coming here now is because other pilgrims are coming here, and they see it as an opportunity to follow their particular mission, because this is the place where they've got good access to all of them.
Right.
That
but,
makes sense.
He also go ahead.
5 decades. 5 decades.
Yeah.
Well,
they're very patient. They're very patient.
They could travel to all the different to the different worlds, and that would take centuries. But we could do this in 5 decades. Or,
Crippled, 2250 at this time. I mean, come on, they don't think in
2260.
Nothing.
2260. Yeah.
So he mentions that his group though are professionals, essentially, experts in all these various fields, and they make a point. They're kind of like hobos, that they make a point of being useful, or having useful skills they can add to wherever they're going to. And so basically he had an answer for every roadblock that Ivanova tried to throw up to him.
Yeah.
And at the end she's kind of like, okay, she didn't really have a reason to say no. But then as I forget who said it, but someone pointed out that Ivanova got the bright idea. Hey, I got somebody that can help us out with this. Back to the the video surveillance thing, and
I got the people.
yeah, and Brother Theo was like, "Yep, we got it. We'll get right back to you." And
then shh.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Being shushed.
She got shushed on her own.
Yes.
And they did, and then so now we're back to how they found where the bomber was. And then with the thing with Sheridan going in to have a discussion, to buy time. So what do you guys think about, I mean, the bomber guy, obviously he's a psycho, right? Her very high strung, barely holding it together kind of dude. And I think that's real easy to portray that in a cartoony way. And maybe you think it was cartoony, but at one point where he shrieks at Sheridan, that for me, it was like, I think that actually worked pretty well. It was almost to the line of being over the top, but it's like, no, this is just a guy that's in the midst of losing it, Yeah. What do you guys think about him, the way he was portrayed?
Well,
wasn't these? So these were stolen from Vega 7, or were they stole from Proxima 3?
They were
Proxima 3.
stolen.
Go ahead. Gene, you remember?
Vega 7. They were
Okay,
stolen.
Vega.
They were used in a
Used
bombing
on
in
Proxima
Proxima 3. And that's where they got, okay, let's search for anybody who's come from Proxima 3.
Oh, that's right. They were from an ice mining operation.
Yeah,
on
in
Vega 7.
Vega 7.
Yeah, right.
So they you know, they were. He's clearly already been nuts, you know, and he's just, you know, he's on a mission that doesn't make sense. But you know, how often do insane people make any sense? You know,
Yeah, he was kind of the classic guy, well, sorry, postal, going postal, right? kind of dude, just a regular guy who things pile up and go wrong, and then he's gonna take it out on everybody else, right?
Yeah, it's falling down. The film falling down. And yeah, he's being brought right to the edge. He wants to be heard, and this is his way of being heard. And it's
not very logical, but
it's not. But
are they logical? You know, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I think Cam, you're right. Yeah, because I was like, oh, is he pushing it? Maybe he's pushing it a little hard, but he didn't really cross the line of being over to the point where it became campy at that point, you know.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was right up to it though.
Right at the line.
Yeah, see, I didn't see that. There were a couple of times where he had some energetic outbursts, and I thought there was no reason for him to get like that, because it didn't. There wasn't a trigger for it. It was just all of a sudden he's just loud and shouting in Sheridan's face. I'm like, where did that come from? That his performance, whoever this actor's, I don't know his name.
I think it's Patrick Kirkpatrick. It's weird.
It felt like he was trying too hard to do the whole psychopath thing, and it just felt a little bit forced to me.
Fair assessment, right? Because like I said, you can go either way with it, and
right.
The way that because again, that was my first reaction too. I'm like, this is too much, and then I'm like, well, or is this a guy who he's always like that, and the fact that he's able to talk at all is the outlier. This guy's a mad dog. I don't know. Anyway, but okay. So Jason, you're basically, it is over the top.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Snob and Dean, what do you guys?
I think it could be read either way. You could look at it and go, well, yeah, this is a guy on the edge. He's having these outbursts. He's not in control of his emotions. And if you've got a very, very good actor, they can pull that off, and it's difficult to pull that off. If you haven't got a really good actor, then they look like they're just hamming the acting and going a little bit over the top. I think this actor almost pulled it off. But there are moments where you're there going, it didn't feel like, it felt like he was acting, not like he was raging against Sheridan. And you got to remember, Sheridan comes into that room, and Sheridan is the alpha male in that room. He is imposing, he's taller, he's overbearing. So this poor guy who just wants to be heard, he's at the edge, he's about to blow up a space station. His emotions are going to be all over, and he's going to shout at Sheridan because he wants that alpha to bow to him. And he wants power over that person. So
had they already not used him in another episode, who would have been perfect for this? Madman Murdoch himself would have probably nailed that whole role.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but since he's already established, in the universe, he's such
like Dwight Schultz.
Yeah, and he is so recognizable that people would be going, this doesn't make sense, because how can he be one character and another? Because he's not in makeup, he's not in, it's not like he's playing an alien and one time and then playing a different alien another time, like we have had with some of the repeat performers. But
all you got to do is just hire Jeffrey Combs.
He's a chameleon.
Jeffrey Combs could play all of the characters in the same episode
by himself.
Right?
and maybe
I,
film it too and direct it.
Well, what do you
I kind
think?
of agree with Dean. You know, it can go either way, but also, you know, Jason, I think he was a little bit over the top on some of the. I mean, I could write it off and say, okay, he's really, really crazy guy, but it was a little bit over the top. But he almost got it. I didn't feel it was like too far, you know, to go out to become campy. I didn't think that, but yeah, the first thing that struck me is like this guy is really, really upset. You know, it's a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
Now-
Did you guys notice when at one point he ripped his glasses off? It's like I did notice it's like his glasses seemed like it's like you're sweating a lot and they're barely perched on your face. And at one point he kind of rips them off in like frustration.
Yeah, when Sheridan's about to go towards him and you know,
Yeah.
he turns and you know to try to stop him and like sort of stop him, and Sharks throws his glasses off.
Yeah, but see, that struck me as like, yeah, this is a guy who's you know who's in the midst of losing it. You know, it's like, I don't know. It weirdly worked for me, even though I will agree that it's like, yeah, it was over the top, but it did work for me. That all that said, I still don't care one bit about the guy or whatever his motivations were. It was like, I just don't care. You know, it's like, it was such a throwaway plot line. I mean, you know, bombs and stuff, you would think, oh, this is a bit, but it's like, just doesn't.
How did he mount that last one though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, and nobody noticed. Seriously, they don't have security cameras in there. They got them everywhere else now, but they don't have them in like the most vulnerable part of the ship. Yeah,
on the fusion reactor.
Yeah, right. Okay. Plot armor. I don't know.
It could also be that whenever he put this thing in, you know, he's doing it piecemeal. You know, kind of like Johnny Cash building his car, right? One piece at a time. And
or Radar O'Reilly sending a Jeep back to America.
Yeah, same.
And none of the other crews noticed it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it did take them a while to find it. He's probably got it tucked in somewhere, but
I don't know. It looked pretty out in the open from the scene I saw.
It
well,
actually
there's no cameras on it, so who cares?
It looked smaller when it was attached. When they pulled the thing off, there was a whole lot more to it, and I thought, oh, that's bigger than it looked when it was attached to the reactor. So I don't know if that was a visual effects thing,
Maybe,
or if it was just, you know, it actually was hidden better than maybe we thought. But
I was just waiting for the two poor blokes that were, you know, in the EVA suits.
Well, Babylon 5 is what, 5 miles long?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And the reaction, if you look, the reactor sector of that is probably a third of that length. So you're probably talking just under, if you look at the schematics, the back part of the station is, and or the area that they were kind of searching. And that is roughly about a third of the station. So you're talking probably 1.5 to 2 miles worth of space in there. You know, there's going to be a lot of nooks and crannies.
It would have been interesting if he had been on Babylon 1, 2, or 3. You know,
blowing them up. Yes.
In any one of them, you know, would have been. Oh, is that what happened to that one? Okay, you know,
that would have been a whole different thing.
I think the weakest part of this episode is the fact that, you know, this guy, he's just blowing things up just for no reason. I'm wondering if, like, what if there was some sort of, you know, this was part of some sort of shadow conspiracy to make things, you know, difficult. There had been a bunch of explosions and they, you know, they had never really resolved. I mean, it's probably too early to resolve it, but, you know, maybe they had stopped the bombing and you know, somebody disappeared, but they, you know, it's kind of like some of the episodes in season 1 and 2 where they kind of solve it, but they don't completely solve it, where somebody gets away or something like that. You know, we stopped it from happening. I'm wondering if that would have been a better storyline overall.
You know, it could have been,
guy is mad because you know he lost his job.
It could have been one of those things where it's like, yeah, Psychor winds these guys up and just sets them loose, and what happens. You know, it's you know, if they're playing those kind of games, it's doing stuff. You know,
I mean, we have seen them.
If we had seen a little bit of a cutscene like that, where Psychor says, "Hey, what happened with that the crazy assassin we sent it. Oh, he didn't blow up Babylon 5.
Yeah, he's a piece off the board now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't use him anymore. But
I don't think everything needs to be connected, and this
It doesn't.
episode was all about it's that lone person. They've got a vendetta, they have the opportunity, and they have access to explosives, and this is what happens.
You know what Jeanette said? Jeanette said this was a filler episode. That's what she. That's
little bit.
what she
the
felt.
thing
That's what she
is,
felt
though,
about it.
you know-
it's not because of the Jakar, Londo, and Lanier stuff. Like,
But
those are
ultimately,
important
what I mean, what advanced in that story?
Well,
Well,
nothing
that's-
advanced, but we're building for later. I think
That's
think
what I was gonna.
This
I was gonna,
this is set up, and there will be a payoff at some point.
Maybe okay.
I
That's
think so.
I hear that all the time, but you know,
Well,
and sometimes it's true. But
I see this as the A plot didn't really matter, but
not
the
at all.
things that came as a result of it, again, the exchange with Londo and Jakar and Lanier and his feelings about, you know, what he did and so on and so forth. And then, you know, you've got, of course, the monks and everything. So I think it's one of those, it certainly is an episode where the A plot didn't need to exist, but the other things that kind of grew around it, I found interesting.
Yeah,
and-
what-
and-
There was a
Aldous
lot
was
of
saying right
character
here.
development
Yeah.
during
Yeah,
this
that's what
episode.
Aldous is saying. I agree with that.
Yeah.
What-
And
what
of
do you-
course, you've now got a lot of monks on board the
Yeah.
station.
Yeah.
And
That's
there's
the
a
other
bit of a
part. I-
game going forward,
I
which
agree.
are the
I think
monks.
the monks are going to be in this more too.
And start having a look at the extras that are walking in the background.
Did you
and start counting the monks?
did you anybody else first of all think that when you first saw the monks you thought, oh, maybe the techno mages are back?
No.
No, really?
No,
That was. I'm like, is that the techno mages? And then it's like
Their dresses was totally different.
Well,
Yeah,
they did make a
no.
point of making them seem mysterious. It's like, oh, all these
Yes.
hooded guys are
Yeah,
so-
yeah, they're kind of cloistered in those you know hooded.
The techno mages, they wore like a black kind of robes and stuff, and looked far more grandiose than the monks.
That's
who,
true.
You know,
That's
hoods
true.
over their
These were
heads and-
simple. These were simple. Interesting
Yeah.
that all these high tech people would suddenly choose to be monks. Though I that kind of I was like, I get that maybe they would be, you know, disciples or followers or, you know, whatever, but monks really? You know?
there is a techno mage vibe to these guys. I mean, they're kind of
Yeah,
religious,
right?
and they they're coming there. They're gonna, you know, we're gonna give technology. We're gonna tell people about biology and chemistry.
I
et cetera,
wonder
et cetera.
if at
So
one
it's
point
similar, but
he thought about putting the techno mages in there, and he's like, "Oh wait, I sent them off to do stuff." So
Well, you know, there Inverse Opinion there mentions about, you know, this was maybe inspired by the Unabomber, but it was kind of interesting to look back and say, well, this is before 9/11, you know, also, and but it was the same kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, people are scared to go outside or, you know, whatever. I mean, it was dealing with, well, what terrorism is, right? You know, the uncertainty that you never know what's going to happen when there's bombs going off all over the place. And I thought it did a decent job with that. It didn't go into it real deep, but then they also touched on, someone mentioned about, you know, how they were breaking up groups and things, but they specifically mentioned it was like to not provide targets. It wasn't like, oh, you know, you were violating your civil rights kind of thing.
So
Yeah.
fascinating thing here, because you made me double check. You mentioned the Unabomber, but the World Trade Center bombing happened in 1993, the first one.
Yeah.
So this presumably would have probably been written in 94. So that may have been still fresh in the news. Was
Well,
that
you
close?
also had the Oklahoma City
And-
bombing around that time too.
Yeah,
or was that
one
later?
that was later. That was later. I think it was 96.
Okay.
But yeah, the Unabomber was a known element too. So I mean, you know, he was from 78 to 95.
Mhm.
So that would fit too. So maybe it's kind of a culmination of a couple of different things, you know, that they were going through.
I'm kind of agreeing with the chat here, which is it's a lot of universe building. It's a bit of a filler. I mean, you remember they got what 22, 24 episodes in a season.
Yeah.
That's a lot of episodes. So you're going to get a couple where there's no plot happening. but they want to develop the universe. They want to develop the characters.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I think it's interesting. We've got a bit of a discussion. Some say it's filler, not quite filler. That's good. I like that.
Well, it's not a main seasonal arc story. That's for sure. So and if so I think you could fairly characterize it as a filler, but a lot of times when someone says filler, it's kind of like this is worthless. I mean, it's
filler episodes aren't necessary. Yeah, maybe it has a negative connotation, but a filler episode doesn't have to be a bad episode. It just
I agree.
It's not necessarily a great episode.
And a lot of times, we saw this especially with Next Generation, what they used to call bottle episodes, where you have something where there's no additional sets, there's no beaming down to a planet or anything. But filler episodes sometimes are, let's just take up an hour and do something because we got to fill up the time. But for a lot of times, you'll have them. There'll be opportunities for character moments. Not necessarily the plot moves forward, especially since we're serialized. But you get character growth. You get time to work on a little bit more rounding out these characters, and I think we get some of that here with Londo and Jakar, and then also with Lanier, because that's going to come back. I'm making a prediction right now, because now Londo has a debt to Lanier, and I think that's bothering him. That's gonna play into something at some point. So it's not necessarily a filler episode so much as it's a character growth episode, maybe.
I also think that his relationship with Jakar is a little more defined, right? Like, he knows Jakar hates him and wants to kill him, but maybe he didn't know that Jakar would be happy to die himself or not care if he died, if he just gets to watch him die. Like, that's a different level of hatred.
Yeah.
I know. Not only do I just
an apathetic hatred, really.
Yeah, I'd rather watch. I'd rather die than I let myself die if I get to watch you die. Like, that's another level of that might have an effect too.
That level of satisfaction that he would get from is beyond the self-preservation is very, very, very dark place to be for Jakar, I think.
He's falling into nihilism at the moment.
Yes,
he's got nothing, and I think this is a great. We're beginning to see a real arc with Jakar, and I'm really encouraged about where this is going to go.
I think Londo was surprised that Jakar didn't kill him. He was out for 2 hours, you know. But
he says, "Why don't you kill me then? I'm right here."
Yeah. The
whole 500 Narns being killed. I mean, that came across to me as like an excuse. I don't think that would stop Jakar from killing Londo if he felt that he could do it, that he wanted to. Or
no. I'll disagree on that, because Jakar has proven up until this point, with several different interactions with his people, that, and especially with the whole religious aspect of Jakar's character development, I think he is very much aware of the repercussions of things that if he does the wrong thing, because they were even talking about it when they were organizing the resistance. We've got to be careful on that. And he's like, look, I don't have to be the one that leads this, but if I'm going to lead, I'm going to lead, but we're going to do this, in a way that, we've got to protect our people. And I think that's foremost in his mind, because he even said, the fact that he even mentions, if I do anything to you, 500 Nards are going to get killed. He's always thinking that way in terms of protecting his people and getting to a point where something improves, because he's certainly not going to be the one to cause the setback and make things worse.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's being flippant. He's actually seriously sitting there going, I'm not going to do it because I know what would happen if we did.
No,
I,
I think it was an excuse. I think that was
I think an excuse. I think that Jakar is the kind of character that he will do whatever's necessary, and if he felt that it was necessary, I mean, I don't disagree that he's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna. But part of that, I'm not gonna, kill him because it'll be this, they'll have this repercussions. But remember, he was in the resistance before. If he has to, whatever has to be done to win.
Yeah,
when
but
you're
at the
in
same time,
a rebel movement, lots of people die. I think that he would be willing to make that.
Yeah, but
It's
hang
just
on.
he's not willing to make that decision
How
now.
would you justify Jakar? How would you justify it's necessary to kill Londo? If you're sitting there going, well, yeah, I've got the perfect opportunity to kill him, but I'm not gonna. And you guys are saying that this whole war thing, because remember, the war is over.
Yep.
And now we're in occupied territory time for the resistance movement and all of that. But if he sits there and decides that it's not necessary or not is irrelevant, because killing Londo doesn't do anything to change the occupation. It doesn't mean the Narns suddenly win. At this point, it doesn't matter who's in charge of the Centauri Republic. I can kill Londo but that's personal.
Yeah.
And if he does that, he might get a certain sense of satisfaction out of it, but Centauri's just going to get somebody else to replace him, and all of these other people in my side of things are going to die. Yeah. I don't think that I don't think he's playing this at all. He's seriously considering what the fallout would be if he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of made my point for me in a sense, because what I think that, I mean, you're right. Well, first of all, I don't think Jakar would be more, if he felt that it was worth it to kill Londo, he would do it. But I agree, there's not much worth to it right now. He wants to see him dead. In the future, if there is some, opportunity or a time, or he feels it's necessary, it's worth 500 Narn to kill Londo, then he would do it. But it's not now, and therefore he won't. And he'd rather just sort of sit. Part of it is just sitting there and watching him.
And he also, at this point,
I can't think of any circumstance where Jakar would justify 500 of his people dying for Londo to get killed.
Well, what if they were going to bomb it? If let's roll it back a little bit. What if he knew and he could kill Londo, and that would prevent the bombing of the homeworld? That would be
what?
Right?
Yeah,
like if he could do that, that would be a perfect time. If we kill Londo, then no,
Yeah, but that's
doesn't get bombed in the Stone Age.
But that's prior to the occupation, prior to the war being over in the occupation. Because now the terms of the occupation are: if you kill somebody who is a prominent member of the Centauri government, we're going to kill 500 Narn.
Yeah, I know.
I think that was for
that is an example of a time where Londo would be happy to make that decision and would.
Yeah, but at that point, it's not going to cost him 500 Narn.
No, but if it did,
the consequences would be different.
Yeah, but I'm putting a hypothetical. Like if that was there's a situation where he would do it.
Yeah, but your hypothetical depends on certain things being true, being in place, and they're not until after the war is over.
Well, it's a hypothetical. It doesn't require those to be in place.
Sure,
my point being is that
based on the premise of 500 Narn being killed.
But my point is that Jakar is a strong enough character, and he's seen enough that he would be willing to make that decision if he felt it was necessary. That's the only point I'm making. He's not. It doesn't feel as necessary now, but he has the ability to make it. He's not he's not a Veer or something. So, oh no, I wouldn't want to do this. 500 people might die. No. He's happy that he would make that decision if it was necessary.
Just commentary. Snob, the chat thinks that you suck.
Right on.
Everybody knows that.
Well, the key to that whole discussion is something that you said earlier, Snob. I'm right.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
All right. Any other major points that anyone wants to bring up that we haven't already discussed?
New character. I don't know if he's going to be a regular or not. Marishi.
Where is she? Yeah, security guy.
Yeah, Jeanette said she recognized him. She said,
Yeah,
he
just
passed
died. The
away.
actor
He
just
passed away
died this
last
week.
week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm like, he looks familiar, but I couldn't
He's
place
been
where he
in
was
a
at.
million things,
Oh yeah, he's in a ton of stuff.
I think she said he was in Mortal Kombat. She thought.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mortal Kombat, Man in High Castle, been in a load of stuff. I think some CSI stuff.
Yeah.
Great actor. He will be missed.
Is he deceased now too?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just died.
Probably 5 days ago.
Oh wow.
5, 6 days.
Yeah. It was funny too because he shows up in the episode. I was like, oh, hey, he just died. And I'm just like, wait, I recognize him now. It was just a weird coincidence of timing.
Yeah. But like I said, there, it'll be neat to see if he makes a recurrence, if he appears in any other episodes, because he seemed pretty vital to the situation that was there. Was he just a throwaway character? Is he another Kefir, or
Well, I think he had. I think Garibaldi mentioned he had a particular experience with bomb stuff, right?
Yeah, but I mean, but he was actually in quite a bit of the episode for being a that tier of a character. You know what I'm saying, for being.
Yep.
So it'd be interesting.
All right. Well, I'll just go around just to check. Dean, anything else you want to mention in particular we haven't talked about?
The one thing that stands out for me on this episode, this is on the special effects side, is the elevator scene where Londo's on the corridor. How long is that corridor?
Yeah,
And
very small.
5
moving explosion.
I know, and it must have been running kind of down the center, because if it was around the outside, it would have been curved slightly. But it was, of all the special effects that stood out in this episode, and I feel it's the special effects that let down some of this episode. Of all the special effects, that was probably the worst I had seen in Babylon 5, and it just looked odd. It looked terrible. A deserted corridor that went on for miles.
Was it okay? I don't know if you saw last week's episode. Was it as bad as the fight scene with Marcus and Delenn in the hallway?
I recall that fight scene, and to be honest, that's choreographed. That's not special effects.
Yeah. I'm just saying in terms of sucking.
It's get moments like this. An otherwise really excellent sci-fi show let down by just small things here and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was kind of willing to overlook that one, because I was like, okay, they got to get them in the core, the thing. So yeah, it's a little bit, but
well,
we got to get them in the elevator. So
yeah, but Dean's not talking about the explosion. He's talking about the hallway, the actual the visual of the hallway going back into infinity, into perspective.
Yeah.
Well, they could have put a corner with
for the
lighting of the explosion going off, so that something's coming around this corner, but it was just this really long hallway.
Yeah.
And those explosions, the timing on them, and then it just kind of, it's like you saw the one, and then it was almost too long of a delay.
Yeah.
Between the first bit of sparks that you see, and then the second, and you're like, yeah, okay.
Maybe Londo's got really fast reflexes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Any this is not final thoughts. Just I'm just trolling to see if there's any other topics on the episode that we missed that anyone wants to talk about.
Did anybody notice it? So in this med bay, right? This is supposed to be the new med bay, right?
Yeah.
And the piece of equipment that's sitting back in the scenes where Londo is by Lanier's bedside. Did you notice the little light bulb looking thing? That's one of the it's one of those light bulb. Of course, they're talking about how many Centauri does it take to change a light bulb? Which that brings up another question. Lanier apparently heard this in his coma. Maybe that's a Minbari thing. I don't know. But the little light,
people in comas can hear things. This is documented. That happens all the time.
Yeah, maybe. The little device in the light inside of a little glass ball that looks like a light bulb. is one of those. I've seen them before. I'm like, I've seen those before. They used to sell those at Epcot back in the day. They're the little black and white fins that, when they're under, exposed to the heat, they start spinning around.
I'm not familiar with those.
No, okay. Well,
No.
And we haven't mentioned the fact that Franklin appears 3 times, I think, in this episode.
yes, he does.
Yeah.
Well, I
Barely noticed him.
Yep.
Anybody got any and Franklin comments? Hey, anybody?
I mean, he did okay, I guess. The makeup on Lanier. What do you think about that?
That was excellent. He looked
really
rough.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I thought that
there
was well done too.
there was a definite skin tone difference. Is quite apparent now between Lanier and Delenn. She has a very human, fleshy color as opposed to the paleness that most Minbaris have. So
going into blue on the top of their heads.
Yeah.
Well, Lanier looks better than most Minbari because he's been hanging out with Garibaldi and doing, putting in some time on the motorcycle.
Yeah, that's true. Riding it around the station,
getting his hands dirty.
Yeah.
Getting some sun.
All right, Jason. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of the storyline?
Nah, not anything in particular.
Is there anything else to talk about?
No, that's what I'm just double checking with everybody. I don't have anything else either. Snob, you got anything?
Not really. I don't know. I don't know if this is worth commenting on. When our Carlson, the crazy guy, says, "Is Sheridan with you?" Sheridan says yes, and Garibaldi says no at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably not too. I think that's kind of indicative of their characters, where Sheridan is the honest guy, and Garibaldi's like, no, we don't want him to know that there could be another bomb around the corner. He might blow us up with that. No, of course we're gonna tell him no. He's the cop going that thing. But
yeah.
All right, should we go move to final thoughts then?
You bet.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Take it.
Jeff, you want to go first?
Sure.
Final thoughts on the episode.
Overall, yeah, this was a filler episode. It wasn't horrible. I don't think it did a whole lot for the story arc to move that whole overarching plot line along. I don't even think it reinforced much. I'll give you credit for the some character building on Lanier's part. Jakar clearly is kind of losing it a little bit. Londo, open him maybe. I want to say humanity, but he's not human. But there may be still some good. Maybe still some good in him. He may not totally be corrupted yet. Ivanova is doing Ivanova's things, and Sheridan was, the negotiator, I guess. I don't know. That's overall, I'm hard pressed to give this more than a 6 out of 10. This episode was nothing special. I don't think it was average for what Babylon 5 has become. So maybe a little below average for their average, but that's pretty much all I got to say. The effects kind of drew away from it. Some of the inconsistencies being in the not turbo lift, whatever they call it, the transport tube. Yeah, so they're in the transport tube, and yet there's a fire raging outside. And did we find anybody else yet? No, we haven't found anybody else yet. There's, and then they, it's the door is hot. Well, but that happened like right after they said, yeah, we've got everything under control at this point. It's just kind of okay. Yeah, 6. That's it.
Jason.
I'm not gonna give it a 6, but I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go as high as I have in the past. I'll say 7.5, 8.
Wow.
The thing is, I'm looking at the character bits more than the plot. I think Brother Theo is an interesting character, and he's got there's a little humor there. He's a little the fact that he's got such conviction on what they want to do, I thought was fairly impressive. Given that Ivanova sits there and they're a foil for each other. In that she's basically looking at this guy after going through her own personal crisis of faith. She's got this guy who's so convicted on what he believes that he's willing to voluntarily live in this dangerous, crazy, stupid place called Babylon 5. And then the fact that they're able to work together on she's able to actually put that willingness to serve to use in the A plot, I think was a nice touch. But yeah, Garibaldi's got some fun moments. We get a little bit with Zach, but we don't. I mean, he's wearing that stupid armband. I'm waiting for him to figure it out. Sheridan's got some moments. The whole thing with where he put his communicator was a little silly, a little dumb, but okay. And the only reason they did it that way is so they could do the gag when he sat down. But so overall, I thought everybody had a really, really good. Everybody had a moment, except maybe Delin kind of didn't, but Lanier got his time to shine. Londo gets some comeuppance, and he's got a little bit of a conscience moment because why did you save me? Jakar's got his bit, and it wasn't filler. It adds to a little bit of layer of the onion to every character that we got. So,
Dean,
see, Weatherman agrees with me.
Yeah, Jeanette thinks she gave it a 5.
She did, yeah. I thought it was an okay episode. Brother Theo, his introduction, I think fantastic. There is a lot of character development through this, and although the main plot doesn't go anywhere, I think seeing the insight of characters, Londo's conflicted nature with someone saving him, Jakar's descent into this utter madness where he's willing to die so long as he sees Londo die. I think it's setting up a lot of stuff for the next set of excites me. The whole bomber A plot, it could have been done a little bit better, I guess, but it was okay. It was fine. I think the acting was fine. The special effects let down the episode. I think I'd give it probably a 7 out of 10, which is, if you took away all the negatives, I'd be closer to an 8. But the special effects for me really let down the episode. But the camera work, however, the closeness on the characters, the things that they're experimenting with in this episode really bring the episode up, in my opinion, as well. So apart from special effects, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Cam.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the points that have been stated. Like Dean just said, the camera work in the last couple episodes has really, been more interesting and gives a little bit of richness to the show. I, as you may recall, for viewers of the show, have been very critical of wasteful episodes, of throwaway episodes or fillers from the first season and such. Not to contradict myself, but I didn't feel that way at all. It is definitely fair to say it's a filler, or it's definitely not a storyline. But unlike these other episodes, that I disliked from the first season, Straczynski now has something to say about these characters, and did very effectively, as many of us have mentioned on the panel. It's not just some random thing with Ivanova getting mad and yelling, for no reason. This was, it's the interactions were addressing things that happened and are relevant. So it's a big difference to me. So I in that case, if it's worthwhile, and people are saying universe building or whatever, I have no problem with it, because it wasn't just random interactions that don't mean anything. So I'm going to say, but I also agree that, yeah, it's, this A plot didn't really need to exist. If you took it out of the storyline, it wouldn't matter. So but because of the other things, I'm going to say net about a 7.5, solid, enjoyable enough. Didn't make me cringe too much, despite some of the over the top stuff. So pretty good.
Okay. I have to agree with a lot of the points made too, but the camera work and the special effects and everything like that, I would give it about a 7. I think it's generally a filler episode, but it does have good parts where it talks about, where we go into Londo and Jakar and Lanier as well, and I think those things are all going to come back in the future, and we're going to see more of that, and I'm looking forward to that. I think it would have been interesting. Some of the comments about the bomb not having, it seemed a little bit, like Dean said, it was a little bit, what the heck's the point? I think that if they had been linked to the shadow somehow, and even if they hadn't solved it, I think that would have tightened it up a little bit, made it a little bit better. Other than that, I appreciated the episode. It was good. Like I said, a 7. So that's where I would leave it. And also, I stand by the fact Jakar would make the decision if he felt it was necessary and he had to do it. He's that kind of character. I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
He's the man. He's happy to do that. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's just see. Oh, it's a lot of trying to keep up with the comments. Everybody's getting all angry. I don't know where the episode's going, but no, Jakar, he's tough. He's a warrior. He's tough enough, but he'll make the decision if he has to. He'll make the tough call. He's not Tony Stark. He is Captain America. He'll make the tough call.
I see the, like, Outpost Nerd, with all due respect, it doesn't have to be a shadow connection per se. I think if they had tied it maybe to the Martian, or to the IO, some of that, maybe something more like a radical possible group might be, instead of just this crazy lone man, it might have fit better. But that's, and that,
Well,
at least tie that character, tie the bomber into something else besides just,
Yeah, but there's nothing
irreplaceable.
more fearsome than that lone person who doesn't pop up on any radars and has no connections to anything, but just happens to be in a position where they can cause major chaos and death.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
that, I
And-
think, is a
and-
great fear.
Yeah,
Those are good points.
There's
it's
nothing
at the
inherently there's nothing inherently bad about having an episode about a bomber. What I'm saying, in terms of it not, that you could take it out, is you could substitute in something else that put Jakar and Londo into a precarious situation. Could have been an asteroid hit the station, for example. It didn't. The point is, the interaction between Londo and Jakar is far more important than the fact that there was an angry guy who set off bombs. Not that it's necessarily bad that was the reason, but you could substitute in something else. And when you could slot that in, just do the mental exercise yourself, you could pick any number of things. Then that tells you that particular thing isn't the relevant bit of the story. It's just the thing that propels the other interactions.
Yeah.
And in this case, it wasn't terrible. Like Dean said, it is kind of, at that time, it highlighted something that wasn't so well known as we know it today, perhaps. So I don't have a problem with it. It's just that
I think that plot, the whole bombing thing, was a product of the time. Like I said, you had the first World Trade Center bombing. You had the Unabomber still running around. In fact, he wasn't caught until the year after or something like that. Well, yeah, he was arrested in '96. So, I mean, he was active up through '95. Yeah, that's kind of like I said, it's a thing of his time. But they didn't even give any, I think tying it, even if it was like his brother or his best friend or something like that, had been killed in the oppression, by Earthdom on Mars or something like that. Some reason to give him. I don't know that maybe it would have
Yeah,
fit better for
and I
me.
think just making the point that most of a lot of us said, hey, we wish that plot line had tied into the bigger universe a little bit better, and instead of being.
Yeah.
That's the point.
And
That's
I
the point
never
I'm trying
said
to make.
it had to point. It
Yeah.
had to tie in directly to the shadows.
Nor
by
did
any
I.
sense of the word. Yeah, so I did not. But
Yeah.
yes. I think Jason
I
did
said
and
the
Bob
shadows, but it
did.
doesn't
And,
have to be. We
right.
just wish it was a little more, connected.
Yeah.
It could be shadows, could be something else.
The interesting point. Can I just go around it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does anybody? Everybody can just say yes or no. I guess who thinks that particular A plot, meaning about the bomber, was did you feel it was particularly relevant or meaningful except my position is except to provide a reason for these other interactions. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's like, yeah, I really thought that was meaningful. Dean, do you think that particular storyline was meaningful in terms of the overall story, or just?
I think you have a point where it could have been swapped out for anything. It felt like they had a couple of points they wanted to make in this episode: character growth, introduction of the monks, and the bomber just happened to be the thread in which all these other things were put together. But that thread could have been swapped out for anything else.
Sure. Jason?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say on it. It's weird. I will be interested to see how the Londo Lanier thing plays out. The interaction between Londo and Jakar is probably going to have some path to follow from there for those two guys. I mean, it's pretty solid episode. Just it's not great. It's not a standout best of, but it does what it needs to do.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a ship that was out of control and smashed into the station. It could have been, some sort of rogue asteroid that nobody saw,
or a meltdown in the reactor. Or
yeah, there could have been there could have been any number of I mean, it's literally, it's almost like a MacGuffin for all the side stuff. You know what I mean? For all that's really all it was. It wasn't. It really didn't have any relevance other than to propel the whole character development of the other. So
Snob.
Yeah, I agree with Dean. And the only thing is that I think my point is that if there was something that was a little more relevant towards Babylon 5, then it would have made the episode a little bit tighter, and we wouldn't be, criticizing it that it seemed like a one-off. It just was right in there. Yeah.
All right. I guess we've already done final thoughts and then plus. So go ahead. Trivia.
All right. We're going to do, we didn't do the answers for last week.
No, you didn't.
So, no, I forgot to do
them. You were in a rush.
So we'll do them now. Everyone. I think, blowing up the station is not relevant.
Missing a point.
It's relevant. Yes, that's not the point. Yeah. All right. Close your eyes because I think I've got myself on the wrong trivia thing. So close your eyes. You'll see the answers. I don't want you to see that. All right. Hopefully. Okay. Here we go. So last week's trivia questions. I'll go over them real quick. Matters of honor. What is the name of the planet which the Rangers training camp? Near which race's homeworld did the White Star destroy the Shadow vessel? I'll put the answers up. Who's the last one to know anything around here? As of course, Dr. Franklin. Who says they miss, they never miss? Delin. Who never gets involved in their own life? Garibaldi makes a comment of that. The Rangers training camp is on Zargro 7, and the race's homeworld, where the White Star, the new ship there. Destroys the shadow vessel is Merkab, where
Rest in peace.
so that you can also get rid of those dirty pirates as well. All right.
Yeah.
Trivia questions for for this week, this episode, and we'll get you the answers next week, of course. What is the race of the missionaries who poke Zach to share his blessing? What disease does Lanier claim he is dying from? Lanier's dying. How many bombs went off during the episode? This might be a difficult one for people to get. Count them up. What is the name of the bomber? That was a little bit. We didn't quite mention his full name. And what is the name of the head monk? That's pretty easy. We got that one. All right. Okay, so that's the trivia questions for this week, and answers next week. What's going on, Jason, on your show?
Tomorrow, Paul DeGarabedian and Judah Engelmeyer will be on with Effect. We will be discussing all of her PR moves and the publicity stuff and the interview stuff and how she's been handling things. Compared to the box office for her films, you would think that she'd fade into obscurity pretty quickly, and she hasn't. So we're going to be doing that. Judah is a crisis PR executive in New York. He's got quite a few things he's wanting to say on it. So I'm sure he's been looking at this and forming opinions. So we'll be doing that on that tomorrow. And then Glenn Hallstrom will be a guest on Friday. And we have the Bad News Bards Sunday night.
All right. And Madman likes my questions, even though he thinks I'm wrong about everything else. Or sorry, not Madman. Outpost Nerd. All right, right on. Dean, and then Jeff.
We've started a new series on our YouTube channel at Evereye Games, which is all about talking to indie developers about their role-play systems, tabletop and computer-based. So if you go onto our website, we have a very in-depth episode with Richard Witters and his Ruttiger system. And next week, we're actually doing an interview with Mildred the Monk and his Final Fantasy system. So pop across and have a good look at them.
All right, thanks. Jeff.
Well, let's see. Coming up Sunday, as Jason mentioned, is the Bad News Bards simulcast, both on Sci-Fi for Me TV and Tennessee Tabletop Tavern. That's going to be Sunday night at 8 o'clock. Wait, 8? No. Yeah.
No,
9.
9 Eastern,
9
8
Eastern,
Central.
8 Central. See, you throw me off with this Central time zone magic. 9 8.
Why? Because central. That means it's central to everything else. It is the center of everything.
Yeah. And then Monday, and we're going to have Mark Hunt from Gangbusters BX and a couple other things is going to be joining us. And then Monday, I'm going to be our stream with Chubby Funster and his Shadow Rim game is going to be back. And that will be shown on a lot of channels, including mine. So tune into my channel, Tennessee Tabletop Tavern, and you'll see it. Also, it's with Erudite DM, Better with Bacon, and a couple other folks. So great. It's been fun so far. I haven't died yet, which is amazing. So I'm very happy about that. And that is at 7 o'clock. So, and I'll save what we're going to do the following Sunday for next week.
All right. Cam.
Well, I will just say, if you enjoy the Christmas season, you can check out the Advent Calendar short series that is on the Sci-Fi Snob channel. Daily openings, so it's pretty exciting.
That's right. And the next one's going to drop in a little over an hour.
Cool,
yep,
cool.
Every day. Tune in.
Go back and watch the other ones if you haven't seen them.
That's right. Cam
They're
loves
good.
tools.
We
all love tools.
I like them. I don't even.
Anything else, Cam?
I'm on other shows a lot. People know. Go watch them. Thanks, everybody. Thanks in the chat.
All right. Okay, so
that Loft Toppy show, right?
Yeah, that show.
Yeah.
Yes. Remember, we like Dean as a guest panelist, and we like to switch it up. So we have a bunch of episodes coming up. No one has come out and said, "Hey, I want to be a guest panelist." That is open to anybody, any of our regular viewers in the chat. If you want to come on, all you're gonna need is a mic, and you have to be, willing to talk about your thoughts and stick with them and fight off the chat when they disagree with you, even though the chat is wrong. You got to be tough to be able to do that, but that's all you need to do. We appreciate to have new voices out here, and appreciate having Dean on, and Madman, who's on sometimes, Outpost Nerd, Michael, everybody. So yeah, come out and come up and say, just send me or Cam, send us a little thing saying, hey, I like this episode, I want to come on to be it. Yeah, we'd appreciate that. We like having that, so please do so. Another note is that for the Top Lofty Lounge, we have another movie night coming up soon, and there's only 2 votes, and it's split 50-50 between 2 Roger Corman movies. So come in if you'd rather see Forbidden. Come and pick. Is it it's between Forbidden World or Forbidden? Forbidden World and Battle Beyond the Stars. Which one should we do next? Both Roger Corman movies. So yeah, come out, vote for that, and we're gonna do whichever one gets all the votes. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Please leave a like and comment on the way out if you want. A like at least.
Oh,
and
yeah.
appreciate that as well. Helps us with the algorithm. Us small guys are always getting squished by the YouTubes. We need that, and subscribe too. We're stuck at 658 for a while, so yeah, we appreciate the subs as well. Okay, and we appreciate everybody here in the chat coming out. Even if you're wrong, if you disagree with me, that's okay. You're still allowed to come by, even if you disagree with me. Yeah, that's we'll let it go. It's no big deal. Did I miss anything, Cam?
No. Just our appreciation for the chat.
Yeah. And the Top Lofty Lounge, Cam and I will talk after this about what we're going to do for the show. We still got to figure it out. Yeah, right. And hopefully we'll see you next week here for the show. And the episode is A Day in the Strife. What could that be about? I'll give you a little hint. I watched a little bit about it. We're back to labor relations. Similar from episode or the first season, I think it was. So something about that. I only watched the first.
Does our buddy return, the dock worker union head or whatever he is?
I don't know.
Foreman?
I just saw the opening. I didn't see him, but yeah, something else.
I didn't get too far into it. I saw the preview next time on Babylon 5, and I'm like, okay, that's all I'm gonna watch.
Yeah. You celebrate his wrongness. Are you talking about Dean's wrongness? Can't be mine. That can't be the right. Snob is entitled to his wrong opinions. Yes, but his opinions are not wrong, so it's okay. All right. So that's it for the show. Thanks everybody for coming by, and we'll see you next thing. No,
jokes. Wait. Yeah.
Wrong show.
No jokes. Wrong show. I just gotta. Oh, Merry Christmas! Yeah, I just gotta. I'm all. People were saying I'm wrong, so I'm all discombobulated here. But I think we've got everything. That's it for the show. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.